Hello, everybody. Dave Neal here, stand-up comic and host of Bachelor Nation News, and we've got a Sunday bonus video for you guys right now. Taylor Nolan feels attacked by white women. She then deletes her Instagram, and a little bit of a Christmas drama happening. Listen, I'm actually going to go ahead and say it. I'm kind of on Taylor's side, not because of the tone, but because of the principle. And I'll get into all of that right now. Do me a favor, hit the subscribe button and like this video. And look, yeah, this is the key to being objective. You can be against someone's tone or the way they conduct their business or their hypocritical nature or this or that. And then you can also look at a specific scenario and make your own opinions on things. So we'll get into this whole story right now. And look, you guys know me. I try to avoid all petty competition whatsoever, but I do have the subscriber race of 2021. Nick Vial at 49,400 subscribers. Dave Neal at 49,300. Will I pass him tomorrow? Will I catch up to him? Will he keep on outperforming me? We'll have to see. And when we hit 50,000 subscribers, which might be by Thursday, I'm going to open up this hip hip hooray for 50K prize that I've been holding on this package here. That's my package, like the movie Castaway. I've been beating it to hell, waiting to open it. All right, so much to get into. Let's dive right in. So if you guys are wondering why are we talking about Taylor Nolan, she posted her Amazon wish list to her social media account, and for the most part, you know, unless someone's posting something hateful or, you know, another way, racist or homophobic or, you know, discriminating against a particular party, I, for the most part, say do whatever the heck you want with your social media account. If you have an Amazon wish list, do with it what you want. No amount of gifts that Taylor Nolan receives will make anyone else poor. No amount of gifts she receives will make anyone else healthy. I've always gone with the mantra, no matter how sick I get, I'm not going to make you healthy. So the point of that is I preach abundance for everyone. Now, we live in a world during the pandemic where there's a lot of people that don't have abundance. Now, Taylor Nolan says, you know what, I'm basically like house poor. She bought a home and now she doesn't have much money, but she's still living a lifestyle that some might say is above her means. Really not for me to discuss. But the idea is that can she make her decisions? And if she has an audience and she's asking for gifts, can she receive those? But of course, when people start analyzing the gifts that are on there, an $1,100 air purifier, and people were like, a $400 jacket. And it's like, to me, a $400 jacket, it's not that much money. And, you know, a good $400 jacket might last you a lot longer than a couple, poor quality $40 jackets. Looking at you, H&M, you know what I mean? Anyway, she deleted her account. My comment was this: if you take Taylor's tone out of it, which you have to because her tone's always ridiculous, I'm sort of on her side. What she does on her social media with her fan base is up to her. With that said, if you're wanting to do something positive today, here's the link to my toy drive, which of course we hit $10,000 donated to the toy drive. I've had people ask me to share my Amazon wish list. I do have one. It is for family members that are asking me, oh, what can I get you? And it's like, well, I might as well put the underwears I like versus the ones you're going to get me. You know what I mean? But I have not used my platform to ask for gifts. Now, if you watch my Vlogmas channel, just about every day we're opening a new box of gifts from people. That's because people like to give gifts, and I like to receive gifts, absolutely. But by no means am I asking for them. If it comes down to giving me a gift and donating to the toy drive, donate to the toy drive. But it's not a zero-sum game. And we make social media out to be a zero-sum game. Well, how could Taylor possibly ask for an air purifier when there are kids starving in Tasmania? You know, one of those sayings, whatever. I changed it to Tasmania because I get in trouble for saying other continents. But the point being that we are so quick to judge people. So she posts her response. Now, you're not going to agree with the tone of her response because it's your typical Taylor Nolan, like the reason people are calling me out is because of racism, when in fact, I unfortunately think that negates the actual nature of why people are calling her out. But, I mean, I can't argue with her, though. Is it a part of it? Well, I mean, who am I to say? Let's just have a watch and hear what she has to say about all this. We're buffering, folks, and we'll get into this, and then afterwards I'll read your comments because, you know, some of your comments are pretty fascinating, but it seems like just about everyone disagrees with Taylor Nolan, but I don't know. I heard what she had to say, and albeit the tone was rough, but at the same time, I think that she has every right to ask for things on her wish list if her audience wants to give her gifts. I mean, it's kind of like that Marianne Williamson book, The Law of Divine Compensation. We live in a society where it's like we're afraid to ask for people to join our Patreon. We're afraid to ask for people to send us donations. And it's like everyone, we expect free things from influencers because we support them. And it's like if she wants to put the advice she gives behind a paywall, or if she wants to do certain things, power to her. But who are we to like judge what she does with her social media?
Instagram, the place where I wake up being attacked by white women in my DMs for sharing an Amazon wish list of Christmas items that people asked me to share on my page because I'm not donating it to other people who are less fortunate than me.
Now, I'll just say this. If I had to, and again, I'm not offering Taylor Nolan what she should do with her social media. But if I were, say, her PR people, I'd say maybe don't target white women because maybe your point will then be lost. Just a thought. I think Taylor could have come out looking good here to be like, hey, guys, people asked me what I wanted. Money's tight. Like she could share her actual struggles. Money's tight. I'm trying to like build a counter and the contractor cost more than I thought. And people asked how they could donate. And I'm afraid of mold in my house. So I wanted this really nice air purifier. People said they were going to buy it. So I figured I'd put the link up there. That's all it is. I mean, did I just not say it in a way that would just make so much more sense than the defensive, which immediately becomes a me versus you whenever you get defensive like that? But I still believe her point. People wanted her to share it. She shared it. That's what her platform's for. She got her platform from a dating show that she wasn't paid to be on, and now she's going to cash in. Let her cash in.
First, I'm not going to go into pain comparison or like an oppression Olympics, right? Second, someone asked for me to share this, and so I shared it. Even if you are not the most poor of poor, you are allowed to have needs and wants.
Bingo.
And people are allowed to help you if they would like to. Second,
agreed.
Majority of people here, almost everyone here, does not actually know what my finances are.
True. And I'll tell you this. Can you imagine? Could you imagine you buy a mortgage? And I can, because my mom was a single mom who struggled and couldn't rent. She couldn't buy a home until she married my stepdad. She didn't, she worked full time in sales and no child support, this and that, right? So like I saw it growing up with my mom, the struggle to get out of like the renter's dilemma, right? You know what I mean? Like, and of course it's only worse in today's world. So Taylor signs, I'm assuming, a 30-year mortgage, assuming she's going to make X amount, and then her past comes up. And I'm not saying she's the victim here, but she must have taken a financial hit. Must have taken a huge financial hit, and now she's trying to stay afloat. It might be different than whatever financial hit you're taking during the pandemic, or me, or anyone else. But her story of whatever struggle she's going through, I actually agree with her about not wanting it to be the oppression Olympics. I agree that whenever we all start jockeying to see who's more poor, who's more of a victim here, it's like we lose fact of that she's fighting her own fight, just like you are, just like I am, and everyone else. And everyone's fight's different. I've always said this. I never wanted to be the guy who cashed in on a lottery and could just retire on a private beach somewhere. That's just not what my soul's experience is. I want my prosperity to come from my work. I think it means more to me to have that happen. So if I just hit the lottery and had my first video go viral, I would have never appreciated what I would consider is a very successful year that I've had in 2021. So I understand. I don't know. I'm just saying I understand that everyone's journey is different. It's not always financial, what our needs, wants, and desires are. But, obviously in our country, there's people that, are just struggling to get health insurance, that have ailments, that don't see a light at the end of the tunnel, that are getting fired from their non-union job or their union job at Kellogg's and getting replaced because all they asked for was a 3% raise, which is actually less than inflation in the first place.
Second, it is not my responsibility on this platform to share. It isn't my responsibility here to share places where people can help out other people. People are more than capable of figuring out who needs help in their community. If you are concerned about my contribution to my community, I do those things privately. I do not share those things publicly that I do for my community. So if that's a concern, don't worry. I participate in my community and helping those who are struggling in several different ways. But just a reminder, really, of how, I mean, it's kind of a reminder of how, like, the judgments that people make on here are so empty a lot of the times, and how toxic the space can become as well.
I agree. The judgments are empty. The space is toxic. Of course, we don't like Taylor's tone here, because it's just like very much like still holier than thou. I feel like that's what it comes down to, is people don't like that, so they're just overly judging her. And of course, obviously, there's a lot of hypocritical nature to where she's jockeyed herself. You know, we could get into this all day long.
Well, because the assumptions around being an influencer that you are likely applying to me do not apply to me. If I'm being very transparent here, the only year that I actually made significant income that I was able to sustain on this app was the year 2020. And the only reason that was possible was because we had to watch a man be murdered senselessly by a police officer to have a global uprising of white people to consider what their whiteness is, and that they actually should give a shit about black people, for brands to say, oh, actually, we want to work with black content creators. That was the one time.
Hey, that's a whole interesting conversation that I would love. I would listen to a podcast about that. The only year she was able to really monetize her social media was because of a sort of white guilt that was existing in the corporate world, and people wanting to finally jump on a bandwagon of all the injustices that were happening. And of course, I also would say power to her. I mean, for making some money off of that as well. I don't know. I mean, you know, if the idea that was the only year that she made money. I mean, there's a lot of content creators that accompanied by the stay-at-home orders were able to finally start, punching their way through the sort of break even of making some money on social media. But of course, it comes with a price. I mean, whether you want to be educated or not, if she's out there putting out her information, doing what she's wanting to do, and you guys are interacting, that creates a social equity that gets her paid, whether you want it or not. So the real answer to this whole thing would be, if you don't support Taylor Nolan, just unfollow her, right? That's the thing. But of course, we enjoy. So there's obviously something more sinister that's involved, that we enjoy the sort of train wreck that exists between the gossip and drama of who we like and dislike.
I already know where I'm going here. It's feeling like I need to defend myself of helping people understand and humanizing myself, but I'm going to stop myself right there. It's one thing to say.
And that's it. And then her account has now gone away. I will click and see if she's brought it back. I'm not going to go ahead and say she's like deleted her Instagram forever. Obviously, we know how this works. It probably got so toxic for her that she felt the need to just hit the button. And then, if you look at her Instagram right here, that's the wrong one. If you search Tay Mocha, she's gone. There's nothing there. All right, and that's the way it is, folks. So I just think, she says that she's forced to humanize herself. I think she would do a better job of humanizing herself if she just spoke from less of a place of authority. I think that's what it comes down to. I'm not an expert in this, but it feels like she's speaking down to people versus like to people that are on the same plane. At the same time, it's an unfair fight because social media is so toxic. She's fighting with people that she doesn't know. She's fighting with faceless people on the internet. She could literally just not address them and they would potentially just dissipate. It's almost like graffiti. When you clean the graffiti off the wall every day, eventually the graffiti artist is going to stop putting the graffiti up because it's gone the next day. The more she feeds into this beast of this toxicity, the more it just fights back on her. We got her deleted. We got this. We got that. So there's people here, and we'll just search by best. But look, I mean, there's already like a max amount of comments on these Reddits because it's just some sort of weird influencer. Like, there's this position that people want to feel like that There's a thought process that influencers make so much money and what they do contributes nothing to society that if you can tear them down, go for it. And that's just not the case. You know, in capitalism, if influencers can make money, clearly there's a market for them. I don't like that she says only white people are against her or whatever. I'm not white and I can't with her. She would just blame this on internalized white supremacy. I don't like how she uses racism as a scapegoat for all of her bad behavior. It feels particularly gross to me. It takes me back to how she blamed, and I'm sure continues to blame, her whiteness for being racist, misogynistic, fatphobic, homophobic, as if that's somehow separate from herself and absolves her of responsibility. Like, that's still you that said those things. Yeah, I think Taylor Nolan's a smart person, but I also think she's dumb in certain ways. And I think she's smart in a lot of the literature of how white supremacy has existed, and she's able to apply that to herself in a way that I think takes the onus away from her own actions, just like this commenter said. Whereas if she was just a therapist in telling someone else what their problems were, it would make sense. But you can't diagnose yourself in that way because she doesn't know her own biases that exist in the tone of her own voice that kind of almost takes away from the actual truth here, which she did say a lot of truthful things. Yeah, we do know about your finances, Taylor, because we've watched you, a single person in their 20s, buy a whole house in an absurdly expensive city and renovate the entire thing. The average couple in that age range, no matter how much they have tried to save, cannot afford to purchase and renovate a multi-bedroom, multi-bathroom house. Never mind a single person. So F all the way off about people not knowing your financial situation. If you can't afford cat food, you should have bought a more humble first house. Now, of course, we already explained this. She probably bought the house not realizing she was going to get canceled and lose a lot of her income. And to think she lectured someone else on emotional intelligence, her lack of self-awareness is astonishing. I will agree there. Her lack of self-awareness is astonishing. Just because someone asks you to share it doesn't mean it's the right or appropriate thing to do. I will say this. I considered an Amazon wish list because people were asking me, hey, Dave, how can I buy you gifts? How can I do this for you? Because obviously, you know, when you have a channel, people want to root you on. And the way some people express they're rooting you on is through physical gifts. And then my fiance was like, Dave, don't share an Amazon wish list. Your account's already monetized. You know, they're supporting you by watching your content. And I completely agree. I never shared it. And not to mention, as much as I love gifts, that, you know, if you've watched my Vlogmas, we get these cute little ornaments from people. It's just so amazing. I'm wearing socks. I'm wearing my Canadian socks that we got from Jen over there. We got all these amazing gifts, the roses, just nonstop stuff. And I love it to death, but I also don't want to ask for it because it's like, I want people to give if that's what they want to do to share their love. I still believe that Taylor has a following that truly roots her on and believes in her, wants to give her gifts. And I think it's her place on her platform to decide if she wants to give them. And if you think it's tacky, then think it's tacky. There's all stuff in life we always think is tacky. Someone said, you know, if it was somebody else posting on Amazon wish list, she'd be calling them out for not featuring items from black-owned small businesses. Well, that's just one of those, like, what about, you know, isms where it's, girl, it's not only white women that don't like you. That got 369 points up. So again, like she lost her point when she kind of made it about race, when I think it's about her tact and her lack of awareness. But then again, who am I to say? You know, I'm just Christmas sweater Dave over here. All right. Anyway, so that's you know, I could go on and on. Geez, we're at 18 minutes. If you guys do want to take this energy of this rage and however you feel and want to donate to the toy drive, it still exists. It's still out there. It kind of tapered off once we hit 10,000, which I understand. People came in hard and fast and donated to this toy drive. So I want to thank everyone for donating. We're at 105% of the goal. We're at 10,494. If you want to pump that up to 10,555 and donate $60, go over there and do it. There'll be a link below. All right, folks, that's going to be it for me today. We've got so much content coming out tomorrow. If there's any breaking news, we'll get to it today. But we've got a Hannah Brown story where there's a really weird love triangle happening with Jed, and Jed just you'll have to wait and see. Just wait for tomorrow, and maybe we'll pass Nick tomorrow. And also we've got a huge Grey Grippo conversation that we're going to be having here. So all good things. Let me know what y'all think. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye now.